Welcome to the Steelers Realm Podcast. And now, here are the boys of Steelers Realm.
Oh, yeah, and here we are, the boys of Steelers Realm. I'm one of them. You're one of your hosts, JT, from Steelers Realm. Welcome, Steelers Nation, to another episode of our Steelers Realm podcast. Great to be with you after we're stacking a couple more. Tonight's deadly triple threat, I should say, added to the team on the other side of the PA border over in Browns country. It is the famous TA. What's up, brother?
It's alive. It's alive. We've watched the monster come alive. We're stacking them, baby. 2 wins. It's alive. We're on the rails. We're back on the train. We're back towards glory. It's alive.
And joining us from Punxsutawney, not really. It's CJ. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Always sporting something Pirates. That's a true baseball.
It is the hot stove. The Pirates are dumpster diving. The Rule 5 draft is Wednesday night, where the Pirates will make their biggest splash in free agency. Anyway, this is a win streak. They are going streaking on the south side.
It is. 2 games is a win streak. First time
win streak, baby.
Back. Now we've gone 2 out of 3, but we haven't gone 2 in a row. So nice to see you guys. Hope you had enjoyed watching the game. It was certainly pleasant to watch along the way. Pretty much led the game the whole way. Although it wouldn't be a Steelers game if we didn't provide a little bit of nail biting towards the end of the game. But hey,
it's the NFL. Everything's going to get interesting. They're just doing their job.
NFL has to love it this year. I saw a stat during the game, and I don't recall it exactly, but I think there was just like a record number of games that were decided within 3 points or less so far this year. They have to be happy about that.
It's great to watch. It's
great
to be a fan, and it's great to look across the league and say, that's a real offense.
Yeah.
Because I'm still not convinced we're running a real offense, even though we're winning football games.
No, it is as a Steelers fan, you look around the league, and can say, well, things aren't that bad. Look at San Francisco. What are they facing right now? Just like that, your season could turn on a dime, TA.
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, thank goodness that TJ Watt come back, because if not, we might not have won another game. But now that he's back, we're back in winning style. I mean, those stats they showed during the game with and without TJ was quite impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still on one man makes the whole band, and he's not even playing to full capacity. But I will say this, to get 2 victories at home. Oh, I'm sorry. We were on the road, weren't we? Or were we at home? I don't know. There's been so many yellow flags, man, or yellow towels the last couple of weeks, man. I'm not quite sure where we're at anymore, but it's good to have 2 victories.
Yeah, certainly. No, that was in the Dome, man. We were down there in Atlanta.
I don't know. There was a lot of Steeler towels, man.
There was.
You sure it was Atlanta?
Could have been. I don't know. During some of those Muth catches, you certainly heard that.
Oh, you heard that right off the get-go in the beginning of the game.
And then I don't know if you caught his local broadcast. I think it was the KDKA team talking to him. Asked him finally straight up, is it Friar Muth or is it Friar Muth? And he said it's Friar Muth. So
not anymore.
He's gonna have to drop that.
and that was the second part of the conversation. Well, they call you anytime you make a catch, all you hear is "Muth," and he's like, "Are you okay with that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I love it. I love it. Keep doing it." So it doesn't really matter, but correct pronunciation finally after a year and a half on the team. So, but hey, instant reaction, man. What was your guys' overall take? TA, kick us off, man. Instant reaction.
Man, I'm trying to do my fucking job. That's my instant reaction, JT.
Not sure
You
what
got
that.
queued.
You got that they did their job. They did their job.
They did, but you got to cue that up, JT. Come on.
Play the music.
That was not at all the. That was not at all the same way.
That's all right.
Let's get back around to that again. I know where you were going now, but let's get back around to that. And before maybe we get into talking about the game itself, we'll get Coach Tomlin's opinion.
So you just want my instant reaction?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what did I
yeah.
thought?
Yes.
Well, the chip chop ham barbecue was pretty good. Funyuns were right on time. All in all, it was good brothership. Or are you just talking about the game? Oh, you want to know about the game? My instant reaction on the game?
No. I'm sorry. We were on the Food Network podcast tonight. So
that's what I thought we were doing, but I was wrong. You want the game? My instant reaction. Look, JT, I don't care right now.
We need to restart, TA. We got to put you in the right seat.
No,
maybe you're on the wrong.
No, absolutely not. This is what happens when you win 2 in a row. You don't know where you're at. You start to believe and see things that maybe are not there. And by God, I'm enjoying this feeling. It's taking me back to like 1989 with a cow and some mushrooms and a pasture. But that's another story for another time.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of flow from that. 3 good things and kind of 1 not so good thing was my instant reaction. We're seeing, and I think across the boards, all the talking heads are pretty much in agreement that Kenny Pickett is definitely making some progress. You see better decision making each week and whatnot. Najee Harris, back on track, looked good, looked strong, made a couple not so good decisions, but was able to kind of power through it with just raw talent alone and still pick up decent yardage. But ran strong. What was the final 78 yards, something like that? He ended up with
86. Don't cut
86.
the man shy.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. So yeah, the running game looked pretty good. Special teams much better this week, and I'll dive into that some as well too. But still a little concerned with the defense. Felt like they kind of took a quarter off, or they just kind of got caught flat-footed at some times. But I'm curious to hear your take on that too, CJ.
I'm not going to give too much. I'm not going to dive too much into it and say they took a quarter off. They gave up 6 points in the second quarter. They gave up a touchdown in the third. They gave up a field goal in the fourth. This is the NFL. As much as I want to sit here and make fun of the Falcons and their offense and what they're trying to accomplish, defense played great. They gave up 16 points. You're going to win a lot of football games giving up 16 points.
And if anybody took any time off, it was the offense taking the second half off again. And
second half
just like, what's that?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when they first came out and they got the ball back, 14 plays, drove it all the way down there, got a field goal. And I'm like, yes, they came out of the tunnel ready to play ball. And then after that, I don't know if they handed out turkey sandwiches from Thanksgiving. Everybody felt it was time to take a nap underneath the blue tarp. I don't know what it was, but the offense went to sleep and left the offense or the defense on the ball. Or on the field. So, yeah, the time of possession did a flip-flop as usual.
Yeah. No, I wasn't saying that the defense took the whole game off. I was just saying that, they let them get back in the game, dude. It was down to, within 3 points, and then or one down to 1 point, for God's sake. So yeah, we certainly, I think we let him in where we could have shut him down. That one touchdown drive, that was certainly, it was like we turned into rubber back there, or butter rather, and
All right.
that didn't sit well with me. We're like, oh, here we go, here it comes.
Well, look,
But
we had
they
old
were able to hold 'em.
Boinker on the field 4 times. I mean, Boinker made 4 field goals. Now, if those are touchdowns, that's 28 points, JT. We're not talking about this. We're not
No
talking
doubt.
about the defense letting somebody back in the game.
No, we're not. When it's not that close, and yeah. Now, yeah, I guess you could probably add that to that on the maybe things that we'd like to see happen a little bit better was, yeah, we got to turn. And I think Randy Fuller actually texted me during the game yesterday as well too, and it says we got to score touchdowns, man, not field goals all the time. So, yeah, let's we got to do better in the red zone. But yeah, overall, I thought, one thumb up, definitely, and a win. And a win, Colin, doesn't have to be pretty, but as Tomlin said, we go back into the lab, and then there's certainly more work to do. So, but good signs, good signs. So, well, we can dig in some more of it, but before we do that, hey, just want to give a shout out to Freight Train. He was a little under the weather, so we weren't actually able to do the off the rails segment. But don't forget to tune in to Off the Rails for immediate reaction immediately following the game. Pretty much as soon as that clock hits, we're going to be jumping on live for your feedback and your thoughts and immediate reaction on the game. So make sure to catch us post game every week. We happen to miss this. We missed last night, but Freight Train was under the weather. His engine was in the shop for some overhaul. So we'll be back next week on that too. And then don't forget, stop by Steelers Realm website too as well. It's coming along. We're going to get that latest drop baller blogs and some stuff out there pretty soon. So keep an eye on that, SteelersRealm.com. Stop by and hang out with us there too. So yeah, let's get into the game. Before we do that, do you want to touch on some of the tidbits? Some stuff surfaced this week that was kind of worth talking about. TA, do you want to touch base on that a little bit? There was some money getting thrown around,
Absolutely, JT,
some pockets raided.
Yeah, the defense. You know why they took the third quarter off, JT? They were a little light in the wallet. And you start messing with the guy's money, he's only going to give you what he's worth. And they took the NFL took all they were worth, man, last week against Indianapolis. Now, I don't know if you guys seen this or not, but after a little interception, and we got in there and we threw the ball up like we were shooting little clay pigeons or ducks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, evidently that was machine gun terror. And in a world that we live in today, that is not acceptable. And shame on our defense for pretending to have semi-automatic weapons. For all of our young kids who are watching or listening, shame, shame, shame.
I want to ask
because these kids have never seen automatic weapons in video games or anything like that,
right, because Halo's still not the number 1 selling game.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll have to limit it. We'll do what we can to limit it in the NFL games.
But what I found most interesting about it is who they decided to pick and choose for the fine, because it ranged from about $4,700 to $1,300. So, for example, it's like, I guess some guys didn't imitate a machine gun better than the other guys did. So I guess they got them for style points, JT. This is what they did. They got them for style points.
Oh, yeah.
I guess if you're going to control that air weapon, you got to make sure that, you've watched a couple of Navy SEAL movies or, a few Rambo movies at least. Have control of that air gun.
And then looking at the list that you sent, it looks like the best shooter was Arthur Mollett. He must have had the best style.
Oh, Arthur. He is good, buddy. But that was on the second side. but it's still TJ, Miles, Marcus Allen, and Minka, along with Cam Sutton and Levi. And I think Terrell was there too. They got the big dollar for $13,000. Those guys showed heart. They've been practicing.
Oh, so these other fines are aside from that episode as well?
They were part of it, JT. They just didn't have the skill to pull off air gun.
They didn't have the $13,000 machine gun, air machine.
I guess not. You know, they shopped at Big Lots where the other boys shopped over at Cabela's. I'm not quite sure how the NFL was able to rate who did what. To me, it sounds like, you know, I'm sitting in my basement playing Guitar Hero, and who can smash 4 buttons color coded better than the next guy?
Guitar Hero.
You freaking nailed it.
Oh, yeah. Yep, you got it, man. You got it.
You nailed it.
What you tell me on this?
Nailed it.
Right. See, JT, look, your index finger was not limber enough on that. Just for all those who were not watching, you need to work on that. I don't know. You might have a little arthritis working in that joint a little bit. You got to tickle them strings, baby.
Right,
That's the basic.
Yeah, that's
boom,
2
boom,
right there.
Boom, boom, boom. Gotcha,
1,
baby.
2.
See.
4.
Hey, look, you talk about a little Steelers. We get a little cooking show. We get a little musical attributes. Man, fans, you guys are in for a store. Yeah, in for a show.
So now, little was said about this after all, but didn't we hit another milestone as well, CJ?
Oh, yeah.
TA. Did we?
Tell him, CJ. Tell him.
You tell me, TA. You're fired up. You're fired up. You tell me.
Number 1, baby. Number 1 since the merger, CJ. 5 big ones, baby. That's not $5. That's not $50. That's 500 wins since the merger. We lead the NFL. Now that's what being a true Steeler is.
That's nice.
Winners, champions, baby.
And over all that time, 4 ties.
4 ties. Can you believe that? Since 1970?
That's crazy.
And I'm not going to lie. That one tie happened in Atlanta in the way, and I hope we break into this. The way this game was going, I almost had a feeling we were like playing for the tie for a minute.
Yeah. Well, hey, congratulations on win 500. Let's if we're ready to, do you want to dive into the aspects of the game? How about Tomlin? How would you rate Tomlin? Let's keep.
First of all, before we rate Tomlin, I just want you to say this is a man who's committed to his team. This is a man who is serious about maintaining his winning streak. This is a man who you should not mess with walking through the stadium when the man's doing his job. And you know why, Steelers Nation? Tell him, JT, why.
Coach Tomlin, let's go for the win, man.
Because he's fucking working.
He's fucking working. Leave him alone, man. What are we doing, Steelers Nation?
Win, man.
Yeah, he said it. Not a good look there.
Oh, bullshit. First off, that dude, that's a great look.
That's a
great look. He's
not
ready
what
to go
Dan
in.
Rooney's saying.
I don't give a shit what Dan Rooney says. He's an old white dude. He might sign the check, but I don't give a shit. First off, Coach T's about ready to go address his players at halftime after a hell of a half. And what's that guy? What's that fan? What's that media member? Who knows who the hell that guy is? What the hell is he doing? He's the only one there.
Why say anything?
Fuck
why
that
say
guy.
Anything? Why even acknowledge it? Why do you keep moving?
Because he shouldn't be there.
He shouldn't.
He shouldn't be there. He should be there.
It looks like Tomlin kind of walked right by the hot dog stand there. I mean, what's he doing? I mean, don't they have a separate tunnel for the coaches and players to go to?
Apparently not.
Coach
it's out there, Steeler Nation. Go look it up. Go
Hey,
look it up out on Twitter. It's
Coach
out
T is locked in. He's ready for a 5-game win streak to close this out at 10-7 and sneak in as the 6th seed.
there.
He's ready. Buckle up. I could give 3 shits about that fan right there.
All right.
Coach T's locked in.
Well, that's
Right.
okay. Being
I'll
locked
say
in.
this.
How locked in was he in the game, TA?
Look, he was pretty locked in, all except there in the fourth quarter. And I'll bring that up. But what I will say is from a Steelers fan, you like to see that from your head coach. You really truly do. From a PR standard and a nightmare, that might not be a good look. I mean, you all seen what they're doing with Jerry Jones right now from a 14-year-old picture. Can you imagine what the news is going to do with this if this really starts to seep out and get someplace?
All
So
right, first
you're
off,
right, JT. It probably didn't have to say anything. Just a simple parade wave and keep on walking.
Fuck you very much.
And
His
so
ass
then
is my ass.
it could even boil down to say, okay, because we're going to talk about this, which is Mr. George Pickens. Is this part of the reasons why sometimes our divas have the attitude that I can do and say what I want to say? Because remember, we all learn by our teachers.
All right.
that's one hell of a stretch. That is one hell of a stretch.
Hey, you know what?
I'm
Give me a
putting hold
second
on.
after you're done, CJ. I want to touch on that too. I have a thought on that. So
This is not a PR nightmare. This is a whole nothing burger. Jerry Jones thing is a little different, and I can't believe we're on minute 4 of Mike Tomlin telling this guy to leave him alone.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
Yeah, he's trying to work. Anyway, George Pickens, he's young. He's had some attitude issues at Georgia. It's well documented. He was a little pissed off. I think we would all agree as Steelers fan that he goes out, he blocks, he works hard, by all accounts, puts the effort in. And when you put that effort in as a young player, you want to see, kind of that reward for that effort. He was back in Atlanta where he's had so much success as a college player, where he kind of grew up. I get it.
He had family members in the stadium.
Yeah, I get it. I understand that. And I think at the end of the day, if you were to ask him, I know he declined the media after the game. I'm happy he did because nothing good was going to come from that. But I bet when he talks to the media next, he's going to go out there and he's going to say, you know what? I was a little upset with how the game was going, but we won, and that was the only thing that mattered. I guarantee it.
Well, yeah,
I guarantee
it. That's the PR answer. But come on now. All right, I just got 2 things on this, and then we'll break down and jump into the offense here real quick. But first of all, I like to see the boy's enthusiasm, and then he wants the ball. And as a Steeler fan, what he's built upon here over the last 3 weeks, I expected going into this game, going up against this defense, that we were actually going to see the deep ball. And there was a couple of plays where he was wide open and Kenny didn't throw it to him. So I'd like to know what the game plan was on why we didn't throw the ball to him. And my second thing is why I'm wondering why we didn't throw the ball to him, because of the Hayward boys. The Hayward boys were going home. They visited Dad's grave in the morning. Everybody had a little contribute type deal. You seen Cam come afterward in Ironhead's jersey. Let's face it, Connor got his first touchdown in Atlanta Stadium. I mean, my only thing is couldn't we have found enough love for everybody in Georgia?
I mean, the Connor Hayward thing, he had 1 target, and it was a catch for 17 yards. It's not like Pickett was out there looking to force the ball to Hayward for a big old glorious storyline. The second thing, and I don't know if you heard it on the broadcast, James Lofton mentioned it. Falcons were rolling their coverage and bracketing Pickens, whereas before a lot of other teams were rolling that coverage to bracket Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcons chose to put extra effort, extra eyes on Pickens. I understand it. We've seen that.
We got to see
Okay.
No,
All right.
I'll give that to you. We got
Point
the
made.
first game with double coverage on Pickens. And that was something different Kenny had not seen before and chose not to throw it to him because
There you
of.
go. There you go.
And I
And so-
think that's kind of what Canada and Tomlin and the brain trust is telling Kenny. When you see that the safety is moving over to bracket, let's go to the opposite side of the field, no matter who the wide receiver is. This isn't a DJ thing. This isn't a Pickens thing. It's not a Freiermuth thing. It is, what is the coverage telling him to do? And he is reading what the coaches are telling him.
All right. So then in my argument to that, CJ, then it's up to Canada to be able to get all of his weapons open, no matter what the coverage is in pulling it. And we only seen the one slant that went to Pickens there late in the third quarter, where it was one throw for 2 yards. It wasn't even a shot to get him rolling again. So
No,
my point is why didn't you do something to roll that? I have yet to see anything for us to dictate to the defense. That's my point in this.
Well, I initially thought that maybe they liked the Sims matchup better than the Pickens matchup for some reason. Why he seemed to get more play time. I don't know how many snaps it was compared to what he had been playing, but looking over at the distribution, is that Sims and Pickens both had 2. The only difference was Pickens caught one of his for 2 yards. Sims did not.
Well,
Although
I'm just going to come out and say it. This is because the chicken shit offense that they're running.
there you go.
George
That makes
Pickens,
sense.
we know George Pickens can make plays, right? There's
Sure.
no reason they can't get him involved in a type of bubble screen or a flood concept, a drag route over the middle to get him the football. Let's call it what it is. They're running a kindergarten offense, right? Where they threw the ball 21 times in the first half. And they put up 16 points on the board. Second half, they go in with a 10-point lead. They come out, they run the football. They threw the ball a whole 7 times in the second half. As a wide receiver, you're not going to get targets. You're not. When you run the ball 7 times, it is what it is.
Right.
And it was a low possession game.
So one more positive, I want to add a positive. The good news is we had 154 yards on the ground. Najee got 86. We ran basically 6 different running backs, or 5 different running backs, 2 wide receivers and a quarterback for 154 yards. Najee ran like he was last year, which was tough. So where I want to finish this with, and then I'll let everybody have their final say, is it seemed like you're right, CJ. We're still running the kindergarten offense. We still haven't figured out how to get everybody involved. And at the end of the day, we were able to move the chains, but once we get in the red zone, we're falling flat. And for whatever reason, in the second half, we're still not able to come out and make adjustments.
I don't think it's an adjustment thing. I think we've seen it the last 2 weeks, whereas they go in the second half, and it's just being over conservative.
Wait a sec. Over conservative to what? To play
just
to not
run
lose? Play to not lose.
Run it left, run it right, end around. And I think far too often when we grade this offense and we look at Kenny, we look at the run game, and we look at the wide receiver game, we ignore how many pre-snap penalties that this team has. Dan Moore is tied for first in the league with pre-snap penalties. And DJ jumps off sides in the red zone. We look at the red zone problems. How many times have they been in the red zone this year where they get called for a holding, they get called for an illegal man downfield, or they get called for a false start? That comes down to coaching. It comes down to an utter lack of focus, to be honest, especially with being a wide receiver and jumping off sides. So,
yeah, I knew it as soon as he moved.
Yes. He's like, come on. And it's not the first time. And then that drop ball over the middle. he's
Yeah, we still got to tighten up. We
Yes,
still got to
thank you.
tighten up on stuff on that. Just got to tighten it up, man. And it's every receiver drops some balls here, drop a ball here or there or whatever.
I mean,
but-
he leads. He's now second in the league after leading the league for 2 years in a row.
yeah, it's disappointing. I thought he,
Yeah, hey, good thing he's got that nice big contract.
turned
Yeah,
his
but
defense.
even that though, 30 yards total yards for penalties is not a make or break game.
No,
It's
that's
not.
not true. The critical
No, but
moment
you-
that hurt.
When you look,
even at critical
Monday,
moments,
Drive
we
killers.
should be able to overcome that.
nah,
The good
This
teams
team-
do.
this isn't
The
a good team.
teams do.
The good teams do, and this is not a good team.
So we can't go blaming it on a few individuals for making a few minor mistakes that every NFL team makes. The question is how do you respond to improve on that mistake? It's the same thing I tell my kids all the time. It's okay to make a mistake. That's how we learn. You
Right.
don't get better until you make a mistake. But
you don't keep doing it over and over and over again, right?
You're right. But how fast and quick can you go ahead and rebound from that and make it a positive?
Yeah. Well, when you false start, that's usually because you've been getting your ass beat the whole time and plays coming your side. So you're thinking you got an edge on it.
Now, I do want to say one thing about Dan Moore after I just kind of killed him there. Him as a run blocker, his improvement this year, especially these past 4 weeks, has been night and day. So shout out to Dan Moore for that. He might be a candidate where he is a much better right tackle than he is left tackle.
But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this because I'm not going to get on the offensive line. I think the offensive line, forget the couple of little false starts, this, that, and the other, played a stellar game. Because at the end of the day, the guy who stood upright was Kenny Pickens. There was not a sack allowed. Now, granted, Kenny ended up running around a little bit. He had to scramble a little bit. And by the way, he is leading the league right now with pass completions when under pressure or on the blitz. He is the number one quarterback in completions when they blitz him and or pressure him. Did you guys know that?
Yeah,
No, that's interesting. Stat.
it's a crazy stat. It is, and it's something you don't see out of rookies. It's something that is the complete opposite. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, and not a lot of people do.
So biggest key, let's keep moving, guys. Biggest key to the offense overall, as far as improvement. What was your takeaway, real quick? CJ, lead us.
I think the run game continues to get better, and I think we're starting to see a few more explosive plays that we haven't seen all year. Freiermuth goes for 57. They score a touchdown off that drive.
Big. Yeah. Yep. Good point. TA, your thoughts on the offense overall?
I like the fact that we're controlling the clock. I love the fact that we're running the ball. And I love the fact now in the last 2 weeks, I have not seen a third down possession caught short of the sticks.
That's a good point. That's a good point because we were seeing that quite a bit too. Well, let's kind of flip the field and take a look at the defense. What our thoughts were on the defense. TA, why don't you lead us off with your thoughts on the defense? I know I have mine I want to share, and TA and probably some of our listeners out there. Hey, Shane, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. We say hi to Larry whenever he jumps on. He'll be on.
On the defensive side of the ball, man, I'm going to give us a solid B+. We stopped their running attack to 146 yards. I mean, this team was fourth in the league. We pretty much shut them down. I mean, even Cordell got a whole whopping total of, 46 yards rushing?
60.
60
He ended
yards.
with
Okay.
60.
He ended with 60 yards rushing. I mean, we did a great job of shutting down the run. The only thing that concerned me, and this is might be minute, I love the fact TJ's Hart was out there playing football. He was on the field. You could tell he was not 100%. What is it to say that TJ's out there, not even playing at 80%, and the team still rallies around him to play, to where if he would have sat on the sideline? I don't understand what that mindset is, and I think that team needs to get it out of their head But overall, the other thing that got me about TJ is I like the fact that they knew it was the RPO, and TJ's job was to make sure Mariota did not break containment and get outside. However, we kept watching plays and plays. He'd go after Mariota when it was given to the running back, and then he would give it to the running back, and Mariota would take off around the end for a run. It was like, TJ, did you just have a lapse? Because that happened like 3 times in the game. It's like, did you just have a lapse there, brother? Were you tired? Should you have come off the field? What was that? Other than that, I like the fact that we've got to see at least, I'm going to say, a half a dozen plays with the 3 safeties on the field. And I like the way that started because they opened up the game with KZ starting. I'm not too sure if I like the fact that they took a cornerback off the field at that present time and moment, but I did like to see KZ, Terrell, and Minka on there. And by all means, my hat's off to Minka Fitzpatrick. For everybody who gives him shit, he did a classy move at the end of the game. He had a straight shot clear into the end zone and pulled up and ran out of bounds. A, not to pad his stats. B, not to run up the score. And probably, truth be told, he didn't want to come back out on the field again with, 30-some seconds left. But kudos to him. That was a class act move. Overall, I'm going to give the defense a B+.
When we talked here, given the preview, and you guys kind of asked what the key was, I said it's going to be Miles Jack and Devin Bush and how they handle that inside run game from Patterson and Mariota and the read option. I think for the most part, as you said, Miles Jack played a lot more than Devin Bush. But I think when you take a holistic view of everything that we saw, that it was a pretty good effort. They held them. There was no real explosive play. Just kind of looking here at the long. Patterson had 1 run for 22, and the rookie Algier went for 20. The Falcons' entire offense is predicated on explosive run plays.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. They had 2 plays over 20 yards. I think that is a testament to those guys and how they continue to improve together. I think it's a testament to the coaching staff who we've talked about ad nauseum. And I give him a B because it could have been better, and Marcus Mariota might be the worst quarterback when it comes to throwing the football.
So I got a question. Why did they abandon the run so early in the game?
And that's what I never understood.
Like 6 or 3 at one game, maybe 10. I think the biggest lead in the first quarter was 10 points. But
and they
totally abandoned.
Mariota comes out and he starts tossing the ball around, and he's overthrowing this guy, he's overthrowing that guy, and it's like they had back-to-back, I believe, 3 and outs in the second quarter, where it seemed like they were pressing. I'm looking right now. Okay, 4 plays and 5 plays. It didn't make any sense. Yeah.
So my question is to that as well. What did Arthur Smith think that Mariota was going to win this with his arm?
I don't know. I guess that's my question. Like, why did they abandon the run? But then they turned around and came back to it in the second half.
I was kind of listening to a segment on NFL Network that kind of talked about it, and the Steelers would show them too high, right? And anytime you see too high as a quarterback, running back, and you have a run pass kind of play called, you always go to the run. But what they would do is they'd sneak that safety down into the box late in the play clock to kind of disguise it. Steelers defense did a great job with that. Hats off to the whole defensive side coaching staff to devise that. That's what their take was.
Mm. Well, that makes sense. But I guess we adjusted after they put up 10 points on us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys also know that Artie Smith is a billionaire?
I didn't know that.
His dad owns FedEx.
Really?
Yes. He he chose, I was kind of reading his story, and it's a very interesting story. He kind of wanted to break away from his dad and do his own thing. Played Division II football, got into coaching, never took any of his dad's money until he made it.
Oh, interesting. Tidbit.
Think about that, what you want to think about. Just kind of your fun fact of the day for me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. Would have never known that. Well, listen, hey, we want to get into a few other things here too, including our Steel City assessment being brought to you by Builder Bros Construction. We're going to get into that too. But before we do that, let's finish up defense overall. How would you grade the defense overall, guys? CJ?
B.
TA?
I'm giving them B+.
B. Yeah, I'm going to stay with a B on that. Let's give the offense a grade too while we're doing that, and then I want to jump into special teams for a moment. Shane brought a good point here. I want to touch on that too. So, offense overall,
B-.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with a B- as well too, JT. I mean, I'd like to give him a little bit higher. I love where Kenny's at. I think Kenny still needs to work on his accuracy. I love the kid's grit. I love his demeanor. But there was that one play on third down that he had Freiermuth, and he just threw it at his feet.
yeah.
A couple of his receivers aren't helping him out. Sims, you made comment earlier about Sims not catching nothing or targeted twice. Look, if he wouldn't have stepped out of bounds, we'd have been talking about that catch today. So that was great concentration on him on the sidelines. Just unfortunate. Toe got a little bit part of the white. It happens. The kid will learn from that.
Sure.
But I'm still at a C because there's still some play calling that I'm just not. I just scratch my head at times. And coming out flat after halftime, this time I get it. They had a drive down there, put another 3 points on the board, but then it went back to 3 and out. So we've got to do something, and we've got to get better in the red zone.
I kind of want to hear you guys' thoughts just real quick.
That's where I was going with that. And on my grade is I was kind of going to go a C+ there, not quite to a B, because we still got lots of work to do to get into the red zone. And once we get in the red zone and score touchdowns, we need to score touchdowns. I mean, some of these games, this record could be a whole lot different if we, turn some of those 3-pointers into 6-pointers with Matthew Wright or the Boz putting the final touch on that too. So that was kind of my grade on that, CJ. Sorry for interrupting you on that.
No, you're good. Just something real quick. They ran 2 jet sweeps with Gunnar Olszewski, the backup punt return guy.
Right.
They garnered 2 yards in key situations. That's kind of alluding to TA's, play calling. Like they're running the ball between Najee and Benny Snell at 4 yards a clip for Benny, 5 yards a clip for Harris. Like you're moving the ball. You're moving the football.
Was it just to kind of throw them off a little bit? We're not going to do this all the time. Hey, we're not predictable. Somebody jet sweep Gunner.
Well, and how about the fact that, granted, I mean, Watt has more touches this year or in the last couple of games than he has with us entire career here. And he's becoming a king on 4th and 1. Why do we not come up with something more to get him the ball? He showed himself to be more than capable. And I get it. We don't want to use it too much because you got to keep him off balance. I'm just not sure if that Olszewski play in that time is the keep me off balance play.
The run play to Watt, I will give Canada this, was a very interesting play call where they pulled the left guard and kind of set it up like it was going to be a counter to Najee, and Pickett turns around and hands it to him sweeping across. I like that play in a short yard situation. He picks up 4 yards on I think it was a 3rd and inches. Like stuff like that. I thought
that was creative. And he's the right guy to run that play. think it worked. Definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, well, let's get into special teams a little bit because I think this is kind of an area where they didn't look so good last week, but ended up kind of making amends this week too. Here's was Shane's comments. He gave him an A+++. I don't know if I get that far, but let me just touch base on a few stats here. First of all, Matthew Wright, 4 for 4 from field goals from, and I'll just run through those. What he had 46, 48, 46, and 33, plus nailed an extra pointer too.
Address the boinker correctly.
The boinker. You mean the doinker?
No, he is a boinker.
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 He ain't doinking anything.
All right.
We got the Boz and we got the boinker.
The boinker. All right. TA dubs him the boinker. All right. Giving up a huge return last week. Of course, the scene was set for, oh, God, we're facing this guy that in his career so far, he has 9 kickoff returns for touchdown. And we're like, oh, no, how are we going to stop that? Well, of the 6 kickoffs, 3 of them were touchbacks. Williams took 2 kicks, one for a 20-yard return and one for a 25-yard return for Smith for 10 yards. Total yardage gains from kickoff was limited to a total of 55 yards. So that didn't help us. And then on the punting side, this was amazing until I got to the final statistics or towards the end of the game when these punts happened. We only punted twice. That's really cool. So we turned our we didn't give up on downs. We either had to turn the ball over at the end of the half or whatever, or punted. That was 2 punts. That was amazing. So of course, the punt probably of the year so far, Harvin nailed the one. Now they took that penalty. They took too much time to just back him up a little bit to give him room to kind of nail one, but he ended up nailing it, put the reverse spin on it, and nailed it at the 1.5, 2 yard line to kind of put the seal on it. Very next play, you guys know what happens, right? Out of the shotgun, throws the interception to Minka, who smartly ran out of bounds to put the end on it. So numbers on the night, right? 4 for 4 field goals plus an extra point. Harvin 2 punts, total of 2 punts for net 85 yards with that last one, a drop in a dime right inside the 5. So, overall, other than lack of any returns on our side, or the touchbacks put us in decent field position every time at the 25. So we didn't bring any out, interestingly enough. So special teams, kudos. Great job. Let's see if we can keep it going.
Yeah, but come on now. You didn't say nothing there about Sims with only his 1 yard total in punt returns. And oh, by the way, the fumble that almost could have been detrimental to our health.
Yeah, right. Well, that's where the pluses are coming off the board for me on that too. So we definitely got to get better at that. But he did recover it. So I
love crapping on Harvin any chance I get, especially early on in the year. He's gotten better. He's been serviceable. That was a big time punt by him to drop it in the bucket. Matthew Wright just doing Matthew Wright things, collecting an NFL check, bagging field goals. I'll take it.
Okay. Well, hey, any other thoughts on the special teams before we move on? We're way behind time tonight, guys. Let's keep it moving here. Don't forget, hey, 724 Steelers Nation number 724 is our Facebook group. Stop by there. There's the address there. Steelers Nation local number 724. Don't forget that hashtag. Stop in and say hi. Put your comments in there. We're growing every day, and it's a great group too. So we talk nothing but Steelers. We don't trade cards or talk fantasy football or have semi-nude girls on there or anything. Nah, we just talk Steelers. Not that there's not a place for that, but not on our group. How about it, boys? So anyhow, it's time to kind of get into our Steel City assessment brought to you by none other than Builder Bros Construction. Let me go ahead and get them up here. Builder Bros Construction, builderbros.org on the web. So, TA, tell us a little bit about Builder Bros Construction. They are our official sponsor, the Steel City Assessment segment of Steelers Realm Podcast.
Look, JT, you want an assessment? Your home, hail, snow, sleet, the kids down the street with the baseball bat to the mailbox. These guys are going to do it all. They're going to come out. They're going to assess your needs. They're going to let you sit in the lazy boy. They're going to let you put your feet up. They're going to let you not worry about a thing as they take care of it all. These guys are professional. They're in tight with the insurance companies. They are going to make your life easier. If you got a problem and you ain't give them a call, then you need a better assessment in life.
Well, there you go.
Top-notch work from top-notch people. That's all I got to say.
All right, so a couple questions before we wrap things up here. Let's hit on some of the big ones. Is Harris, number 22, finally getting his legs underneath him and adjusting to what we saw last week, or last year, rather?
I don't know, but yes, he is. And I don't know if you guys saw that stiff arm where he put that corner into the shadow realm. That dude should be in concussion protocol.
He should be, yeah.
He's looking like last year. He's looking like last year's Najee Harris. And I think he's only going to keep getting better.
Yeah.
Hey, that made the come on, man, real for Monday Night Football. And that was exactly it. Come on, man. Najee was running with purpose. And I like where the kid's getting back to be. I know everybody was down on him, hard on him, but this kid has a heart of gold, man. He really, truly does. And I'm glad he's a Steeler.
Yeah. All right. 30 seconds on Kenny so far.
Week by week, he just keeps getting better. You know, I sent you guys that little stat there. Each slow progression in the passer rating. He's not turning the ball over. He's making smart decisions, and they're winning football games. 4-4 as a starter going forward.
Yeah. Again, no turnovers yesterday. Smart decisions for the most part. You see it getting better and better. You see improvements too. You do too as well, TA? Guessing.
Hey, if his receivers quit dropping the balls on him, man, the kid's stats are a whole lot better. I love the fact that he's now starting to go down the field. And you know what? Maybe as a Steeler fan, we've been a little hard on him. And maybe this is kudos to Tomlin and also Canada. Maybe there is a progression, and they are feeding him the ball more and more. And one thing like we didn't talk about there a few weeks ago with the Indianapolis, he actually had say-so in the touchdown drive to Benny Snell. So I'm liking where he's going. I just want to see his accuracy pick it up a notch.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you as well. No more throws in the dirt. There were a couple there that were good. There were good routes that the ball was just, he bounced them in there. One to Muth. I think the one was to somebody else downfield.
Sims.
It was to Sims. Okay.
But Sims should have had that too.
Yeah. Poor Sims. Poor Sims.
Was that the one that got overturned? Was that the one that got overturned? Okay.
It was.
All right. Gotcha. All right. Well, while we're talking about the receivers, what about Deontay? Like, he's like on and off. What? Man, with the big money, is it the big contract? And he's just like, maybe it's time for...
You know what I think it is, in all honesty? I think Dante's trying to do too much. And what I mean by that is Dante's the leader now. And you've seen him on the sidelines. You've seen him consoling Pickens. You've seen him try to take more of a leadership role. And This is the first year he's had to do that. So I think he's taken off a little bit more than he can chew right now, and he just needs to settle back down to Deontay and just play football and quit worrying about what everybody else is doing right now, because the other team, the rest of the team's finally caught up there, JT. He now needs to do his part.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think we're starting to see him move forward with that. Is he finally caught the football over the middle instead of keep running east and west, put his foot in the ground, got north, got upfield.
Yes. Yeah. And the announcers pointed that out too. They were quick to point that out, which was good observation on them. They did their homework there. Remembered that from, what was it? It was last week he did that too.
Yeah, picks it there. Get upfield versus the Colts.
Right. On the sidelines. That's right. There was a shot of him saying that too. So, hey, Larry's going to give a shout out to Larry. Hey, we're going to win. That's right, Larry. We're going to stack another one coming up against Baltimore. Before we do that, though, we still want to touch on a few more guys too. What about Muth? I mean, or should we say Muth?
I'm going to keep calling him the fryer pan. Man, I tell you what, when he catches the ball, he is looking for contact and he is delivering blows.
He engages it. Yeah.
That 57-yard scamper he had, that was a huge play. And it's something that I said to you guys, it's like going into this week is they're always kind of like one step away from that big play. And it finally happened.
Yep. That one, he kind of pulled away from that. Heath Miller would have been proud of that catch and run, definitely. But yeah, he managed to pull out of that. He was getting ready to be tackled once. Had somebody had a hold of his shoe. He pulled out of that and was able to kind of power through. It just shows his strength, man. Such a great control. Yeah, I'd love to see him get more involved. I mean, just crossing routes over the middle, those little short 5-6 yarders right over the middle, screen with that big body turn, and it's such a big target there. I don't understand why they're not doing more of those, but yeah. Well, what do you think, TA? Can we expect more of this from Muth?
Absolutely. I mean, he's the fourth leading tight end receiver in the league right now. Wow. And you're talking 32 teams. I mean, Muth is starting to make his presence known. And I think that a tight end is a great safety valve for a young rookie quarterback.
Sure.
So absolutely. And I love the fact that it's not just Freiermuth. Gentry, you can't say nothing bad about him. When he comes in, he knows what his role is. He completes his role. You never question his role. And even at yourself, can you be more involved? Because this kid has some hands. He has some hands.
He does.
I don't know why we don't get him more involved.
Yeah, we've seen some impressive catches from him already. Definitely. CJ, your thoughts on Muth? You're going to keep calling him the Fryer?
The Fryer, he keeps getting better, and I want to see him continue to be utilized more in this offense. I think there's something to be said about a big, tall, strong, fast matchup nightmare as linebackers continue to get smaller and smaller to cover the pass game. I love it. I love what he's doing. And by all accounts, a great human being.
Yeah. Well, let's embrace that. Why not embrace it? I know that Steelers have typically over the years, this TA, have loved their tight ends just for blocking and those good possession receptions, outlet passes and stuff like that. They're never going to light you up for 50, 60 yards, but always solid blockers, solid pass blocking, and good possession guys too. So, yep. So we're now our record. We are now 5-7.
5-7 and in the playoff hunt.
In the playoff hunt? Playoffs? I don't say about a playoff hunt, but I think they're definitely, what do you guys think? We're definitely still, it's a possibility for a winning season. We're not eliminated yet.
Hey, look, all I know is if we're in the NFC South right now, we're looking at a wild card.
Well, wasn't Atlanta in their division there before that game, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Atlanta was a half game out.
And if Tom Brady goes ahead and loses today to the Saints, man, everybody's at what? Brady's at 5-7, 5-8, 4-8, 4-8. Man, we're right there. Woo! I think that's just the parity in the league this year, man.
Yeah,
ain't nobody really lighting the world on fire.
Let's hop right into it, and I'll eat my own crow here. As I said, this team needed to just bottom out and catch a top draft pick. Okay. So Baltimore without Lamar at home next week. Then you got Carolina, who I might be starting at quarterback in 2 weeks for them. Then you got...
You get a call?
I mean, they saw me throw a Frisbee this summer, and my name is on a list, brother.
Ooh, doggies.
And then you got the Raiders on Christmas Eve. Gentlemen,
yeah,
that is 3 winnable games.
So, speaking of which, you remember who's coming on that podcast, right? Come on.
Yes.
Shelby Cassesi will be with us.
We could be 7-7 with Shelby Cassesi on the podcast, looking at 2 divisional games along with a Raiders team and a chance to make the playoffs. And God, does it smell awesome right now.
Well, let's take a look at our predictions from last week before we put a fork in this one. So Freight Train had the Steelers up 24-10. He was correct in that. Actually, we all took the Steelers. I'm happy to say that I ended up being closest and got the point spread correct, 21-20. So it was only off a couple points there. TA had him 33-23, CJ 38-35. So didn't quite get the kind of offensive production we were looking for there with those guys. But we all picked Steelers to win, and we're successful with that. Like Charlie Batch's philosophy, pick them to lose and be happy when they win. So 2 weeks in a row, he picked them to lose, and they won. So there you go, Chuck.
All right.
Anyhow, guys, last-minute thoughts as we wrap this up. What a great game. Bring on Baltimore. So it looks like Jackson's not going to be playing him. Doesn't sound like it, does it?
It seems that Lamar Jackson is missing yet another Steelers game. It is interesting how many Steelers games he misses to go along with that record.
All of a sudden, he always seems to get an injury the week before he faced the Steelers. That's because we've had his number, guys. Let's be honest. We really have. He hasn't really, affected us. I don't know. Must be something in the water in Pittsburgh. He's allergic to or something.
From dirty birds to nasty birds. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. All right, guys. Well, hey, that's a wrap. Don't forget to stop by. We're on every Monday, like tonight, pregame or postgame to review that. We're on immediately following the game with our Off the Rails, and we do a pregame on Thursday before the weekend, just to give you the edge up heading into the weekend games as well, too. So appreciate you hanging with us, Steeler Nation. Careful in the hot tub. Good to hang with you guys. As always, peace. We'll see you next time. We're out of here.
It's alive. We're on the train.
Ravens week. Let's get it, baby. Ray Lewis did kill that guy, by the way.
Check back next week into the Steelers realm.